In 1959, 9 experienced hikers ran out of their tent in the middle of the night into the freezing Russian wilderness. They left without shoes, without coats, and their tent had been cut open from the inside. Days later, their bodies were found scattered across the snow. Some had crushed ribs. One was missing her tongue. So what terrified them enough to flee into the dark? By train, then by truck, they traveled deeper into the Sverdlovsk Oblast and the vast winter wilderness. Early in the trip, Yuri Yudin fell ill and turned back, a decision that saved his life and left 9 to continue. The group documented their journey with diaries and photographs, smiles, teamwork, and resolve against the elements. They were marching toward a mystery that would outlive them across an ambitious route in unforgiving terrain. A telegram was due by February 12th. When none arrived, concern grew, though delays were common in such conditions. On the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, dead mountain to the Mansi, they made their final camp. On February 20th, a massive search began. Students, teachers, the army, and aircraft combed the frozen expanse. Following the route, searchers hoped for delay, but the mountains gave only silence. The answer lay buried on the slope. February 26, 1959, a pilot spotted something dark against the snow on Kholat Syakhl's eastern slope. A ground team found the hiker's tent, collapsed, half buried, and eerily silent. The tent had been sliced open from the inside as if escape was more urgent than using the flap. Inside, order, not chaos. Coats, boots, and survival gear lay neatly arranged, abandoned in sub-zero cold. A trail of footprints led downhill toward a forest made by 8 or 9 people. Some prints were barefoot, others in socks, some with a single boot, deadly choices in -30 Celsius. No signs of a struggle, no unknown footprints. The hikers had walked away, calm at first, in a lethal night. Something triggered a primal flight, logic and training overrun by urgency. The scene spawned more questions than answers. The path dropped toward dense forest, toward clues and tragedy. The mountain's silence was absolute. What could compel 9 seasoned winter explorers to flee their only shelter into the dark? At the forest edge beneath a cedar, rescuers found a small fire and the first 2 bodies. Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko, dressed only in underwear, hands burned, branches broken meters overhead. Evidence suggested frantic climbing, perhaps to spot the tent or escape a threat on the ground. 3 more were found between cedar and tent: Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin. Dyatlov clutched a birch branch. Kolmogorova had crawled upslope. Slobodin had a minor skull fracture. All 3 succumbed to hypothermia, the cold winning where strength could not. 2 months later, the thaw revealed a ravine 75 meters beyond the cedar. 4 more bodies: Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolovatov, Nikolai Thibaut Brignol, and Semyon Zolotaryov, better dressed, sheltering in a snow den. It appeared some had taken clothes from fallen companions, hard choices in a final bid to survive. The discovery closed the search and opened a more disturbing chapter. The last 4 had injuries that were severe and unusual, central to the Dyatlov puzzle. The puzzle was far from complete. Autopsies confirmed 5 died of hypothermia, but anomalies stood out. Slobodin's minor skull fracture, burns and abrasions on the men by the fire. The ravine 4 did not simply freeze. They suffered massive internal trauma. Thibaut Brignol's crushed skull, Zolotaryov and Dubinina's shattered chests, force likened to a car impact. Despite internal damage, external soft tissue trauma was minimal, suggesting intense compression, not blows. Dubinina's tongue and parts of the mouth were missing, spawning theories from decomposition to scavenging to assault. Traces of radioactivity were found on some clothing, too low to be lethal but unusual enough to raise eyebrows. The case was closed with a chilling phrase: an unknown compelling force. Unanswered questions multiplied, sharpening the search for explanations. Could science, the military, or the mountain's own invisible forces explain what happened on Dead Mountain? One widely accepted theory is a slab avalanche striking the tent at night. Cutting a tent platform may have destabilized the snowpack above. A sudden slab could trap them, inflict initial injuries, and force a rapid escape. Cutting out was fastest. In darkness, confusion and fear drove them downhill toward the trees. Forest offered wind shelter and firewood, the logical refuge in a storm. A slab's compressive force can crush without cutting, consistent with internal trauma and minimal external wounds. A secondary slide or a fall into the ravine during shelter building could explain the worst injuries. In 2021, Swiss scientists modeled the incident, drawing on advanced snow dynamics and even animation tech. They proposed katabatic winds, cooling, and the tent cut could trigger a delayed slab hours after lights out. The avalanche model connects cut tent, flight to trees, and crushing injuries in a rational sequence. Critics note the slope's angle and tracks showing walking rather than panicked running. Even strong models meet uncertainties when evidence lies buried by winter and time. Some argue a secret test, parachute mines or rockets, caused panic, injuries, and radioactive traces. Soviet secrecy, classified files, and reports of orange spheres bolster suspicions, but no direct debris was found. Others cite infrasound or hurricane-force katabatic winds, powerful enough to induce terror and flight. Such phenomena explain leaving the tent without gear, but not the severe internal trauma alone. Each theory fits some clues, none fits all. Evidence resists a single tidy answer. A combined sequence is plausible: a small slab, violent winds, disorientation, then falls and cold, finishing the tragedy. Less sensational than secret weapons, more consistent with the mountain's messy, merciless reality. The weighing continues, balanced between science, circumstance, and the limits of what remains. Today, the slab avalanche, perhaps with environmental triggers, stands as the most robust explanation. Yet the Dyatlov Pass still keeps a few pieces hidden in the snow. More than 6 decades later, Dyatlov endures a perfect mystery of relatable adventurers, a hostile setting, and baffling clues. We crave order. When files say unknown, we fill gaps with theories. The story confronts our fear of the unknown and nature's immense, indifferent power. For years, files were sealed. Researchers and families have kept the search for truth alive. Perhaps the lesson isn't a single answer, but how we face the unknown with courage, humility, and care for those lost. They sought adventure and found a legend. The mountains hold their secrets, and we keep asking, because remembering is its own kind of answer. If this journey intrigued you, subscribe to Minute Mysteries for calm, factual stories that illuminate history's darkest corners. Thank you for watching. Stay curious and stay warm out there.